One, this is the third annual National Service Panel sponsored by Military Cyber Professionals Association and the Blacks in Cybersecurity Organization. The National Service Panel serves as a fresh and innovative, interactive way to share insights about actionable opportunities and challenges associated with national service, focusing on mostly tech related programs and organizations across the government. Since this panel is about sharing knowledge and expertise, this panel discussion includes three industry giants that will share their backgrounds and talents about the profession of cybersecurity. Again, I am the moderator, Dr. Bill Butler. I am a professor at Capital Technology University, serving as moderator for this panel. Also on the panel, we have Ronald Stevenson, we have John Petaway, and we have Dr. Cynthia Sutherland. I will, each of the panelists will now introduce themselves and what their role is, and then we'll go into our question and answer period. So we'll start ladies first. So we'll start with it, Dr. Sutherland.
Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Cynthia Sutherland. I am the Emerging Industries Lead for Security Assurance at Amazon Web Services. Glad to be here.
Okay, so I can go next. Hi,
Yes,
everyone. My
John.
name is John Petaway. I'm an Information System Security Manager at a military treatment facility.
All right, I'm last. All right. I'm Ron Stevenson. I'm a senior consultant at eGlobal Tech.
Okay, as you can see, our panel has a wide variety of experiences that they're going to share today. So our first question is, how did you get into cybersecurity, Dr. Sutherland?
Let's see. Back way when cybersecurity did not exist, right? It was information assurance, and prior to that, it was privacy. And at the time, I would say I got into it from the military. I started out as an information systems security specialist, telecommunications specialist, and started doing more with network managing, network traffic managing, desktop support, like everything that the military can offer. I did even pulling and cutting cable. So lots of fun, but that's how I got into cybersecurity. And then after leaving the Army, I started working as a federal contractor for the Army Research Lab, and that's when I really started diving more into vulnerability management, asset management, and network support.
Thank you. We'll go to John.
So similar with me as well. I did 9 years in the U.S. Army, where I was a ComSec or communication security custodian. So dealing with PKI infrastructure. While doing that, when I had left the military service, in my current job, I was doing messing with servers and doing system administration, and then also I would do STIGs with DISA, so I would harden the servers and just other security related roles until I moved into my information system security manager role. So pretty much just throughout the years, just doing general IT and cybersecurity, which kind of led me into my current role now.
Yeah, thank you, John. And we'll go to Ronald. Ron,
Man,
excuse me. Mhm.
this is an impressive crew we have here. For me, it of course started with the best branch, the United States Army, being a 25 Alpha signal officer and earning my top secret clearance, which opened up a lot of doors and enabled me to go into networking. From networking, I transitioned over to where I'm at now, where it's mainly risk management, compliance, doing ISO, SCA type of work, and make sure that everything is good when it comes to security controls.
Okay, thank you. So we have the introductions out of the way. We'll get to the first question here is also how can tell us how can newcomers get into the field of cybersecurity and how can they prepare themselves for such a lucrative field that has so many specialties that are involved with it. Again, we'll go back to Dr. Sutherland. How can those folks out there listening to this talk that want to get into cybersecurity or who may want to advance their career in cybersecurity. Can you talk a little bit about that? You have a lot of experience in that, by the way.
Yes. So I would say for the first thing I ask people is, where do you live? because the job market also impacts your ability to get into cybersecurity. And what I found across the globe is that when you're working around a federal installation, specifically even with with DoD, they really are. The government is looking for a lot of people, and from a cybersecurity perspective. So I would say look at the certifications. Requirements for the positions that are available. Some of them require only certs, and some require a degree. And so I asked the person to kind of take a look at, one, where you live, and then two, what do you want to do? Are you a tech person? Are you a policy person? And then when you start trying to figure out whether you want to do cyber policy, training, awareness, risk management, governance, compliance, that's all over here. And then if you really love the tech, and a lot of people like the tech and the quote unquote sexiness of incident response and security operations, then you're over here on the tech side. So I ask, what do you want to do? Are you a policy governance type person, or are you a tech person? And so when it comes to the tech side, a lot of people want to jump right in. And I tell them, one of the things you want to make sure you understand is the technology, but also the policy, because the policy drives how the why of your configurations. From a technology perspective, to processes basically go over how. And so just talking to them about, introducing them to what I like to call, like, what is it, the Macumber cube. I still love to use that as like a simplified way of helping people understand cybersecurity, looking at the importance of CIA, policies, process, technology, and then understanding the data from the perspective of processing, storage, and transmission. So I kind of walk them through that. And then I'll tell them, okay, then this is what you want to do. So I would say take a look at those. Look at yourself and see what you want to do, whether the policy or tech, and then get to understand the reason for all three, for both policy and the tech, and then figure out what's best for you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to John.
The advice I would give for a newcomer will always, I would say, will be networking. I mean, you have to know how different systems are connected with each other. You have to know like the TCP protocol. Like, definitely start with the fundamentals first, so you have a solid foundation of the overall branch of cybersecurity, and also that can also help you determine where you want to go. If you like Cynthia said, like on the technical side, or you want to be on the more policy side. But I definitely say learning networking would be probably like to have a good solid foundation, like computer networking, understand how all the systems are interconnected with each other, and then go from there and like just continue brushing up on that, and just have like a home lab if you want to always keep brushing up on your information, and keeping yourself relevant. And with all the new material that comes out almost daily in cybersecurity, definitely learning new knowledge and continue to be like a lifelong learner.
Okay, great answer.
Can
Ron?
I piggyback off that for a second, Bill?
Go ahead. Yes, you
Yeah,
sure can.
so the lifelong learner part is key. Because understanding that tech does change, the application of tech does change, and the motivation of cyber criminals change. And so you want to always make sure, that you stay up to speed on those things. But what I will also say is that don't feel intimidated, right? Because once you get in, you'll start getting comfortable with it. I just say, don't let cybersecurity, scare you. Come on in with an open mind, and be prepared to be a lifelong learner.
Thank you. That was very valuable to highlight that. Ron.
I would say to go ahead and join a branch, uh, serve, and when you serve, the reason is you get to get your schooling paid for. I'm always going to say that for it, and you can get your certifications paid for, and then you can get Security Plus, your training, your tools, your classroom, everything is paid and covered, so it's not coming out of your wallet. You get a paycheck, and you can still go ahead and expand from there. So I am biased towards that one.
Oh man,
Yeah.
he
Went
went
to
there to the
military path,
military.
huh?
Yeah,
Now, I venture to ask, which branch of service are you speaking of when you say start
he's
get
Army, of
that military?
course.
The best branch, Army all
Army,
day.
like
Uh,
Army, and Army.
Yep,
well,
that's
since
right.
I'm the only Marine on the panel,
Ooh.
we will have two. Anyway,
But
good answer.
But
Um,
I would like to also piggyback because, like what he said, as far as joining the military, I would say look at those overall federal government programs, because the military is not just about the soldier side, it's also about the civilian side. And so I would say, take a look at both aspects of all the branches. And, every branch has their own cyber program, they have their own cyber schools. Yes, you get some of the best training. Army, Air Force, Navy, they all have some good programs. So, yeah.
I would certainly have to. That's how my military career definitely led me from communications to cybersecurity, and spent half my career reserve and active. And the actually what I learned in the reserves served me well on the civilian side. A network is a network, right as a route, as a switch is a switch. So no difference in uniform or in civilian clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend, if you're not ready to go full blown active duty, reserves and guard will advance your life. It,
Civilian as well,
yeah,
Bill.
civilian
Civilian
as
as
well.
well.
That's
Now,
why you're here, to make sure we don't forget the civilian
yes,
workforce.
yes, I did 8 years. I did 8 years as an Army soldier. I
Mm.
did 8 years as a federal contractor, and then I did 8 years as a civilian. So I have experience, and I will tell you the best one I liked was, I'm not gonna say. Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
could
I'm gonna
say.
do it. I'm not
I,
saying.
I have to say something funny. There is a such thing as a GS1. And I actually held that position in college. So, I started definitely from the bottom and work, and worked
Started
my
from the
way up.
bottom. Now you do.
I started
Wow.
from the bottom. I'd like to segue into the next question. How important is mentorship? How important was that in your career? Can you talk a little bit about your mentor, how you met them, how you talked them into being your mentor, and what the benefit was?
Wow, mentorship is key because mentorship is a small aspect of your overall networking efforts. It's about the squad, the people you have around you, as well as your mentor. And your mentor does not always have to look like you. They don't have to think like you. Matter of fact, you don't want them to think like you. You want them to think totally different than you because they've been some places that you've never been. They will help you navigate spaces you've never been in. And so it helps you be able to see things from a different perspective. Plus, your mentor can also go into rooms that you can't go into to speak about the value that you bring to an organization. And so I say that because from my career, I've had numerous mentors. I've had, a Christian mentor, a mentor that helped me understand the aspects of being a Black woman in tech, or just a woman, just a person in tech, because I've had white male mentors as well. And so it doesn't really matter, from the perspective of, sex or race. What matters is you can get what you need out of this person. And then the other aspect is that you have to be active in your mentorship. You have to tell your mentor, here's what I need from you, so that you can kind of shape expectations. And then the other part is, if you're not getting what you need from your mentor, then fire your mentor and find you another one, because everybody can come in at different phases in your life, and you can move on to a different mentor. So I would say that's very important from a cybersecurity perspective, as well as from a mental health perspective, because cybersecurity can be very stressful. And that all really depends on the maturity level of the cybersecurity program that you're in. So that stress level can be extremely high to kind of chill, but you always want to make sure you have someone to kind of help you navigate those spaces. So I'll say mentorship is very, very, very important.
Very important. John?
So I definitely agree. Mentorship is extremely important. So as a personal reference for my mentor, when I was kind of getting into cybersecurity full time, my mentor, he's actually in the incident response field, like in that type part of cybersecurity, and he asked me like what I want to do, and I'm like, well, I'm not really sure. So just by talking to him, he's like sending me like links and articles about incident response, and I'm like, this doesn't interest me at all. So make sure that like you communicate with your mentor and tell them like, hey, what you want to do, what area you want to specialize in, because it can kind of guide you into those roles, and and help you grow within those roles too, and also help you find out what you don't want to do in cybersecurity. I know personally for me, I'm more interested in like offense security, like the hacking part. Incident response, not really my thing, but definitely make sure you find a mentor that it fits your like fits what you want to do, and definitely be like Cynthia said, also active in your mentorship. Like, don't ask your mentor a question that you can just easily Google, because their time is also very, very valuable. So make sure, if you do your due diligence first, and then, try to find the information first. And if you can't find that information, then you can ask your mentor for help and guidance on different things. But mentorship is definitely important. And that's not just in cybersecurity, but in all aspects and other areas of your life.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Eh,
All right, Ron, your turn.
I'm ready. This one is definitely something that has been impactful in my life, because I believe you both mentioned it. You need to know when to fire your mentor. Your mentor is a human being, and you need to understand that yes, they have experience in this field. Yes, they are knowledgeable, but it does not mean everything they tell you is going to be good for you. You need to be able to take in what they're saying and go ahead and, is this for me and where I want to go in my career? Or is this something where that this is what they did and they're trying to lead me that path? I'll also say when it comes to mentorship, you want to make sure, of course, stay active and stay engaged, but again, they're human too. So it shouldn't just be a business contract. Be human, have a normal conversation sometimes. Like, hey, I don't have anything really to talk about, but like, how are you doing? What's going on? What are you looking for? What are you studying for? Anything I can provide to you. I think that has been very insightful for me. Even my current mentor is someone not inside cybersecurity, but in tech sales and his network. I'm now able to leverage his network by just being around him. He, like you all mentioned, he's talking about me in rooms that I didn't even know existed, and I'm getting phone calls. So I'm like, hey, and it's a great experience to have mentors.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Mentors can make the difference,
Mhm.
um, in your next step, and they can often soften the blow of not getting that job you thought you wanted. And you turn around. The next step is you turn around and get that job that you want. And not every job that we want is good for us, right? That we find out. Our mentors can
Mhm.
help us to navigate the successes and failures of our careers and get us to that place that we want to be. I want to segue into the workforce dilemma that we find ourselves in, the cyber workforce. The National Cyber Workforce and Education Strategy will be released by the White House in 31 July. It's outlining the strategy of how to approach developing our cyber workforce in the nation. And we go back to the purpose of the service panel is to talk to young people about serving their country in this capacity. Can y'all talk a little bit about why is it important for people going into this field to consider taking on positions that serve the country versus the lucrative private sector that calls out their names? We'll start with Dr. Sutherland here.
So what I would say is, any job you take, any career you take, should match where you are in your life. For example, yes, I was a civilian and a contractor, and now I'm in private industry. I became a contractor. At the time I was a contractor, I was, yes, making a lot of money, doing the things that I love to do, touching a lot of different technologies. And then when I became a civilian, my transition to becoming a civilian is because I wanted a kind of slower pace in life where I wanted to do more at home. And so I know some women may get upset about this, but I really just wanted to be a mommy and a wife. And so I kind of just slowed down at that point in my life because I learned being in the military, and being deployed, that once you lose that time with your children, those early years, you don't get those years back. And so I did not want to risk losing those milestones in my daughter's life. And so that's why I decided to go into the government. But then it was time for her to go to middle school. And at that time, it was like, okay, she's going to middle school. She's going to have her own little life. She don't need mommy as much anymore. Let me just go out here and just do me. And so that's when I transitioned out into the private sector. And it gives me the flexibility to touch different technologies. And so, for example, as the emerging industries lead for security assurance at Amazon, I get to do automotive cybersecurity, media and entertainment cybersecurity, sports cybersecurity. I get to touch all these different types of technologies, and it is so exciting. And then not only that, I get to travel the world and see what are some of the challenges. That some of our customers have from an AWS perspective. And I would say that when looking at evaluating whether you want to do private or public, I would say take the time to really identify what is it that you need out of where are you in life, and how can that specific industry help you at that point in time.
Thank you.
I agree as well with that. Definitely because also make sure that where you're at in life and the mission of wherever you're going to work to wherever you're going to be working for aligns with you align with the mission. Like you agree with what they're doing. And it's awesome working on like cool projects and everything, and do some super cool high speed stuff. But definitely make sure whoever you're working for, their mission aligns with what you want to do and you agree with the mission. Make sure you believe in that mission, whether it's being working on super cool stuff, or working or serving your country, like we previously did in the military, just being part of something bigger than us, know that we're contributing as citizens and doing our part. So I think that's definitely what you want to consider. Like, what do you value internally first? What you want to do, and that would kind of guide you as whether you want to do public or private sector.
Can I kind of piggyback off what he just said as well, Bill?
Yes.
The other part I don't want to neglect is the nonprofit and the small businesses, because they need assistance as well. And so, like you were saying, connecting to the mission, you have to connect to the mission because it is your job to secure that mission. And if you can't connect with it, then you need to really find something that you're going to be passionate about helping advance in their line of business. And for me, when I served as the CISO for the Joint Chief of Staff, U.S. representative and global chair for a multinational organization that integrated cybersecurity into military weapons, I was passionate about helping our allies, about helping our military programs do what they needed to do to secure military weapons. And same thing with FEMA. I was a CISO for FEMA, securing America's emergency management agency. Like these are organizations that had some real significant impacts to the lives of people. And so looking at the mission of the organization, you have to be connected to that mission because it is your role to secure it. And so connecting with that should align with the values that you have in your life.
Thank you.
Man, this is some good stuff. I would say for me personally, when it comes to service and determining primarily between your service or getting a big fat paycheck, because that's what it comes down to. Of course, we all want that big fat paycheck. We want to go on a yacht. We want to do all these cool things, but I will always go for service first. The primary reason is when you're in the service, you're going to have a lot more responsibilities, and you get to learn a lot more. You'll have additional duties. You'll be able to grow. You can say, "Hey, I want to do networking. Hey, I also want to do some security side of the stuff." And they'll be like, "You do? Really? Oh, come on. I'll show you how to do." There's that growth mentality there. Well, I don't know that much about the private sector, but it's you are your role. This is your left and your right limit. Inside the contracting world for the federal government, it's kind of similar, but it's still that expansive phase of it where you can still go and say, "Hey, give me a little bit more. I'm curious about this. I'm curious about that." But of course, join the army and get your services.
Yeah, I think that we got the Space Force that is going to be after you about that editorial. So
Right. There's something now. Yep.
very good. A lot of good wisdom coming off the panel today, and I think what I'd like to segue into now is from where you sit in the cybersecurity arena. What is the biggest challenge to our economy today? I mean, a threat that not only a threat to the operations that you help protect, but I mean, maybe the American public might not be aware of that they need to become more aware of.
Hmm. One of my favorite things is thinking about a old criminal theory, what they call the routine activities framework. It speaks to how crimes can be broken down into four components: a vulnerable target, availability of time and space, a motivated offender, and the lack of a capable guardian. And when you start pulling those components down, you identify where you want to target to kind of help reduce the incidence of a cyber crime. Whether it's, understanding the motivation of cyber criminals, or trying to become a capable guardian to protect a vulnerable asset. Those are all, concrete elements that you can focus on to kind of help contribute to the reduction of cyber incidents and cyber attacks. And so we look at, I mean, the other part is looking at how vast the cyber workforce is, right? You can be a cyber profiler, you can be a malware engineer, you can do incident response, digital forensics was my favorite. But there are so many different uh, workforce positions out there. And so when looking at people who are like teachers, music artists, all these people that may be wanting to pivot, I would say don't lose the knowledge that you have and the knowledge and experience that you gain. Identify how you can integrate cybersecurity into your specific field, into your specific profession, and then take and learn from that perspective. So I would ask that you kind of take a different perspective in looking at, how you can contribute to the cyber workforce as well as reducing cyber attacks across the globe.
Thank you.
Well, as for me, working in a military treatment facility, I'm surrounded by healthcare professionals and medical devices. And one thing I've noticed that these medical devices, they are super vulnerable. Like we need to build in and factor in cybersecurity into the supply chain pipeline, because you'll get these medical devices where like the default password is admin or something like that, and that makes it super easy for an adversary to essentially break into your network and attack your critical systems. So I definitely think we need to build in secure coding and secure practices into the supply chain pipeline, and have these and hold these vendors accountable for shipping insecure code or products with default passwords also. And also the part we're working with with healthcare professionals, we also need to preach more cyber awareness. Like everyone doesn't like to do their annual cyber awareness training, but there's a lot of good information within that and into that training, into that module, because you'll get a lot of people that would just see a funny looking link and just click on it out of curiosity, and bam, there's your inside target right there. So definitely need to preach more cyber awareness, and also secure medical devices and other business practices.
Thank you.
Um, I would say now this is a threat towards the economy of cybersecurity and the works there is what's been in the news, AI. Uh, the main reason I'm even mentioning AI is because one is taking over. Like it's taking over, about to take over my job when it comes to compliance and everything. I met my AI counterpart that will be taking that over. So that's awesome. But more importantly, when it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to cryptocurrency and the cloud environments and how we leave a VM open or a virtual machine open and it now is exposed and we're not tracking that, hey, how much power is it using, or when it randomly spikes and now we have somebody on it who's mining cryptocurrency. Little threats like that don't seem that big or large, but now we're giving resources away for free to cyber criminals who are just like, oh, you left it open, I'm going to just come on in and bypass it.
Yeah, I want to segue into that. AI. The big thing is that the generative AI, and here in the education arena, we are trying to come up with our policies and stances on the use of that technology by our students. In your organizations, are you setting up rules and policies around the use of generative AI in your organizations in your daily work?
I am not. I've been working with educating some of the regulators about the application of AI from um, an automotive cybersecurity perspective, but not, anything from, as far as uh, workforce or anything. No, not really. Just been working and educating others on what the components are, how to take the perspective of looking at it by breaking down the components, understanding the importance of knowing where the data is coming from, the data integrity of where the data source and the integrity of that data. Um, and that's about it, but no application from that perspective in my current role.
Thank you.
In my current role, we do not allow the use of any like AI technologies, Chat GPT or anything like that. Only because dealing with patient information and PI, we want to limit the potential spillage of any of that information. So we have it blocked. We don't allow it. So we don't. Yeah, that's not. We don't use it in my current role.
Thank you.
In my role, generative AI is allowed. It can be used for code. It can be used for pretty much whatever you want to. They are developing policies for it. There have been two drafts that went out agency wide for it, and it's still an evolving thing.
Um, I will say, Bill, I did see, and I forgot which news article I saw where some company, medical company in Korea, released the first AI generated medication to address idiopathic pulmonary some lung condition. And it really made me think about, wow, that job, that AI just solved a problem that the human brain could not. And at this point, it took a couple of scientists and some doctors' jobs away, some research grants, and so that's the part that I look at. And then even for me, I also have a nonprofit, and in my nonprofit, I use it because I don't have the funds to hire a virtual assistant. And so I do use Chat GPT to create templates and to create, do, certain things to just kind of, so I don't have to deal with the hiring a virtual assistant because it does offer, an economically feasible way of getting things done.
So, should the average American out there who is in a field where they create content, should they be worried?
Oh yes, oh yes. I've talked to numerous people. I talked to one singer slash musician who had a throat condition and he couldn't sing, and so I forgot which tool he used. He uploaded the lyrics of his new song, his previous recordings, and his new new instrumentals to create a song as if he had just sung it. And so
Wow.
there are so many ways for plagiarism, like integrity of everything is going to come into question at this point, because AI does. Everything like AI generated images, right? Pictures, and like I'm working with a event planner to design a backdrop, and I just went in and told Canva's AI, hey, give me a purple and teal backdrop with flowers on both sides and a half arch. It was a beautiful image that it gave me. So I'm just saying, like, we really need to think about it, how it applies to our current everyone's current field. And when talking to minorities and especially underserved communities, we really want to make sure we help them understand the impact of AI and what they have to do to make sure that they can continue to be effective and have jobs in the future, because you're going to either upskill or you're going to be left behind.
And I know you have a daughter. What advice are you giving her about this topic?
She goes to coding classes every summer. Amazon partnered with ID Tech Camp to provide a Amazon Ahead Tech program where it teaches kids coding using Alexa, and it teaches them video game design using I can't remember our game design tool, but she knows that she's coding every year. Mommy, why you got me in coding class? I was like, understand this, little girl. I don't want you. I'm not saying I want you to be a software developer. What I am saying is that in the future, you need to understand how tech works so that you can understand the components, so that you can understand how to troubleshoot if you need to, or build something from it. So I need you to be able to sustain in the future, because you see how AI is automating so many manual functions, right? And you have to have that critical thinking skill that a lot of people just don't want to move forward with, but you're going to have to if you want to remain relevant in the future. And so that's what I tell her, teaching her critical thinking and coding. So she knows the deal. Every Saturday at noon till 2 o'clock. She know it.
There you go.
Okay.
How about you, John? Do you have anything to add to that?
So my personal life, I use Chat GPT and AI a lot. Just from doing like web application pen testing, you'll see like a bunch of JavaScript code, which I not the best at. I'm still learning, but you can paste it in Chat GPT and it can explain to you like line by line what this function does, what this script does, and I feel like people should use AI to help them and not use it as like it could potentially replace me in a type of way. Like use it to elevate yourself and as a step stool, because you can now design an entire website in like 5 minutes, where before you would have to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, to design that same exact website. Now ChatGPT can do it for you in like 5 minutes. So I think people should use it to like help them and automate some of the things that you don't really feel like doing. But yeah, I see AI as a way, as a tool to help you, just another tool in your arsenal you can use for later on.
Okay, so you're using it to make yourself more productive at work, by not having to do those simple, taking hours to do those simple tasks.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm. Great.
Yeah.
That
I,
is, ChatGPT is my friend.
yes. I created 30 days of social media content in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
Nice.
Yes. 30 days. Yes. Chat GPT is my friend.
All right. How about you, Ron?
So I'm going to be the one with the tinfoil hat on the head. And I have been looking at AI like the Terminator. Um, like it's coming for, and I'd say it jokingly, of course, but it's seriously like something I've considered. Like, where is the left and right limits? We have no governance over it. There is, and it just keeps expanding and goes further and further and deeper and deeper. And it's just like, okay, where do we stop? Where do we say this is enough? We don't need AI interfering with this specific thing. And I think that's where, for me, being the governance and compliance thing, that's where I'm like, okay, all right, conspiracy theories, you might be onto something. Black Mirror, I don't know, we
Yeah.
could, they might be onto something. Definitely with Netflix proposing what they just proposed. So it's very concerning to me. And for content creators specifically, I will say it is a very cool tool to use, but now it's all about quality and it's not about quantity.
Yep, yep. And I like what was said earlier when you said use it to elevate you, right? Elevate your content, elevating your thought processes and your abilities, right? And I think that's key there.
Is it too early to think about how our adversaries are going to use this tool against us?
Oh, it's that they already started. You late. Like like think about it. I mean, think about it though, Bill. As we were saying that, you look at no left and right limits. There is no Geneva Convention rules. There is nothing. Like it is just open space. And because now every single device has an internet connection and is always on. Nobody shuts it down. We don't have dial up anymore. Everything is constantly on. So it's always available and for access. And so I see, like he was saying earlier, finding vulnerabilities, and that's just finding the weaknesses in code. And so what? Yeah, yes, they're using it. Like, come on, know thy enemy is to know thyself, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think like with anything, it has a good and bad purpose. Like we can use
Hmm.
ChatGPT to elevate yourself and improve yourself, and our adversaries could be using it to attack us as well. They could be finding weak endpoints, or you can obfuscate this code and different pay. You can ask ChatGPT for like a malicious payload if you word it correctly. So I think the bad guys are going to use things maliciously just out of their nature. But yeah, I mean, like Ron said, there's no limitations on it. So just like I can use it for good, someone else can use it for bad.
Yep. And you see, especially in these economic times, right? People are trying to find ways to make money. And if it's an easily accessible tool to make money, then yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they? And even for those that were intimidated by cybersecurity or hacking, now they have tools available. And you see the toolkits that have been out there in the past, right? The cyber criminals have
Mhm.
access to. Oh my God, just think about a person with the right mindset could create something. Luckily, a lot of us are on the good side. But it's us against the world, right?
Mm. Yeah, there's something to think about. As you were talking, I was just thinking of hackers using chat to create more effective phishing emails,
Oh
create
yes.
malware,
Mhm.
malicious code,
Yep.
um, or counterfeit, as you said, graphics and art.
Yes, yes,
The
yes.
list of nefarious activities goes on and on. We don't definitely don't want to end on a note like that, but we would like to go to closing remarks for the National Service Panel edition for this year. So, like we'd like to thank each of you for being a part of this panel. We'd like to give you the opportunity to make a closing comment for the audience here.
Sure. One of my current passions is educating and finding ways to educate the elderly, because they are a very vulnerable market, a vulnerable target, and trying to find ways to kind of help increase their awareness of cyber attacks, and how to handle cold calls and spam calls, and when they get those certain threats. And so I've been on the doing monthly cyber bites on a monthly nationally syndicated radio show, the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, where I educate the elderly and those in underserved communities about cybersecurity and their responsibilities. And so I ask that we don't forget about those that cannot afford a cyber advisor or a cybersecurity panel. And so this goes back to service of the nation from the perspective of our underserved communities. So wanted to kind of highlight that, and follow me on DRC. Follow me on Instagram at DRCYS2018, DRCYS2018, and you guys have a good day.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan.
Mhm.
First, I'd like to thank Blacks in Cybersecurity and the MCPA Foundation for this, amazing opportunity to share this virtual stage with this awesome panel, and Bill, you as well. Definitely want to say, everyone, keep being curious. Keep learning. Cyber is a very, very vast field, and it's just gonna take time. Just take it one step at a time. Don't get discouraged. Just keep at it, and we'll all make it someday. For my social media, on Twitter, I am Tito Santana 00. So TITOSANTANA 00 on Twitter, Discord. So feel free to follow me and hit me up.
Thank you.
Man, all right. Uh, I would say make sure you take off your tinfoil hat, and AI is not going to be the Terminator right away. Uh, and
Not right away. Yep.
Oh, oh, my bad, my bad. I will also say that if you are really considering joining cybersecurity, choosing a branch is always important. Getting your service in will elevate your career, and it's a great start if you don't have a degree or you're not sure where to go. It gives you a good way to pivot. And of course, thank you to have me on this panel. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, again, I'd like to thank the three of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to serve on this panel that's sponsored by the Blacks in Cybersecurity and Military Cyber Professionals Association. We look forward to you gave your social media handles, so hopefully audience will contact you and keep the dialogue going. And if anyone's going to be at DEF CON, I will certainly be there with Capital Technology University. And that concludes the National Service Panel for this year. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.